opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing your afternoon with me. I trust that you had a restful, safe, long holiday weekend. I certainly enjoyed my time off. I ain't gonna lie, I took advantage of that and got myself quite a bit of rest this past 4-day weekend. It's just a pity that, life is such that every weekend can't be 4 days. But anyway, it was truly, truly a great weekend for me, and I hope it was for you as well. And so today on the show, we're going to be doing part 2 of sorts of a show that we did last week. And I'm calling the show today The Tragedy of Deforestation. But this show is going to pay more attention to what deforestation is, and more importantly, what it does to our environment, and whether that be your immediate environment or the greater environment as it relates to the relationship between deforestation and climate change. And so this is going to be a very important conversation for us to have because, you may not be a person who can think beyond the tip of your nose. So you might think, oh, what's the big deal? You're burning down a couple of trees, what's the big deal? Well, we don't even have to think in terms of this impacting future generations, which it will, but we feel in the impacts now of climate change. And as a low-lying state, just 1 inch increase in the water levels could impact us significantly. And how much more because of climate change. So this is something that is not just a problem for future generations, but this is something that we are now facing the repercussions of. Just look at the violent nature of Hurricane Dorian. And experts say that we can expect storms going forward every season. It's a possibility that you're going to get storms that are that strong and powerful. Why? Because we're frigging up the environment. And a major part of that frigging up is deforestation. And I'm not just talking about deforestation here in the Bahamas, because this is a problem, as you will learn in this show, that is happening around the world at an alarming rate. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Before I bring in my guests, I'm going to have my producer play our very first clip. And this clip is going to give you a better idea of what is deforestation. So Jason, let's go to clip number 1.
Our planet's forests are some of the most valuable resources we have. They provide us with clean air, a source of food, construction material, and much more. Even more importantly, forests are a major line of defense against climate change. A single tree can absorb as much as 48 pounds of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere each year, which makes them the most effective CO2 scrubbing machines we have. Despite this, forests are being systematically eliminated all across the world. A process we know as deforestation. Each year, 15 billion trees are lost to deforestation and forest degradation. That's 36 football fields worth of trees a minute, and accelerating. At this rate, the world's rainforests may be completely gone within 100 years. This makes deforestation responsible for around 13% of the world's carbon emissions, making it a major driver of climate change. Not only do we need trees to absorb our carbon, when they're removed, much of the carbon they have stored is released. Rapidly growing agriculture is responsible for the vast majority of deforestation. Global demand for food, especially meat, forces millions of acres of forest to be cleared for cattle, soybean plantations, and palm oil production. Timber and fuel wood extraction, as well as wildfires, drive the partial destruction of forests, known as degradation. All of this is driven by our relentless economic expansion and population growth, with both set to continue increasing dramatically. While harvesting timber is necessary for our economy, unrestrained deforestation can lead to the disruption of weather patterns and the collapse of entire ecosystems, threatening our safety and other resources we depend on. So what's the solution? Can we stop this seemingly unstoppable force? The short answer, yes, but it'll take some work. Research has shown that it is possible to decouple economic growth from deforestation by reconfiguring our supply chains and adopting sustainable land use policies. Thanks to the efforts of activists, policymakers, and businesses around the world, deforestation is actually slowing down in some regions. Finally, reforestation and afforestation efforts are growing worldwide. One Tree Planted works with partners all across the globe to restore damaged forests and plant new ones. You can become a part of these efforts by volunteering to plant trees in your area or supporting these initiatives abroad.
Okay. Am I up, Jason? All right. So we're going to now introduce my guests now that we have a better idea of the dangers or the tragedy of deforestation and what it could mean for all of us. Let's bring in our guest. Dr. Ancilleno Davis is the senior scientist and policy analyst for the Bahamas National Trust. And also joining us is the acting director of the Forestry unit, Danielle Hanek. I hope I pronounced your last name right, Danielle. Welcome to you both.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Danielle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes.
Perfect. I can hear you both. All right. So deforestation. I'm calling the show today The Tragedy of Deforestation because really, if we don't address this problem, take it seriously, understand the implications of what our actions are doing, this will spell tragedy for us all, because this is the only planet we have that so far they know that we can live on. And so if we destroy this to the point where we are making it impossible for us to live here, or very difficult for us to live here, this will be a tragedy for us all. What are your thoughts?
No, definitely. I agree. And we have such a beautiful country. Truly, I think it's the gem of the world. And we have an opportunity really to demonstrate the beauty of our environment. And the fact that this continues to happen, the fact that we have a Pinus caribea, which a Caribbean pine, a variety of Bahamas, meaning it's endemic to the Bahamas, meaning it's only found here. We actually have quite a number of species that are only found in the Bahamas, even certain regions within our country, that's only where they're found. And by doing actions like this, we are threatening the biodiversity, we're threatening our ecosystems, we're threatening the gems of where we live. We need an environment, we need area above sea level for comfortable living. And if we continue to have these actions of clearing the forest without regard for soil conservation or even biodiversity conservation, we will see the ripple effect in other areas of our lives. And sometimes that ripple will be small, but now unfortunately we're seeing it where these ripples are now become big waves. And so an example could be highlighted of the massive rains we had in mid-May, where it caused excessive flooding throughout the island, but specifically in areas in the Carmichael Road area that had never had issues with flooding before, not that extreme. And so you can see that correlation with removing of over 200 acres of forest and its effects within the surrounding communities. Because in our forests, water, it doesn't run. There's not a lot of runoff, is what I'm trying to say. But the fact that that has been removed, you can now see just pockets and pools of water just flowing because the water has nowhere to go. And so I think this is just a part of the conversation today. The fact that little by little, we're seeing the results of these actions, not just recently, but over decades of how we've interacted with the environment. We force the environment to suit our needs instead of having a blend of working with the environment to have our life and to have our needs.
And I totally agree with everything that Director Hanek just said. And I think I'd like to add, for Bahamian people and for people in general, we tend to look at one problem at a time, one species at a time, one result and one enemy. But this is really part of a broader conversation that we need to have about taking care of biodiversity and the environment around us. And like Director Hanek said, there is an issue when you remove those habitats that we're losing biodiversity, but then the impact that it has is a domino effect. So you remove the trees, those trees don't hold the soil together. The soil can't trap the moisture, it can't hold that or absorb that rain. That soil that's now being washed away, it goes into the streets, it clogs the gutters, it makes it even worse for the next rain storm. And everybody that's crying now about they're seeing a bunch of snakes in their yards, a bunch of animals that they didn't see before. If you destroy their home, where else will they go, right?
Exactly.
And you're worrying about flooding that you never saw before. If there's no trees to absorb that water, if there isn't soil to absorb that water, where else will the water go but in the streets that you need to use to get by? And a lot of us are seeing these trees as just the pine trees in the forest. And Director Hanek did touch on it just now. We have tons of other species that are in the forest that make up the environment that Bahamian people have traditionally went in the forest and ate the fruit. We've used it for textiles, for making our bush medicine, and those are also being lost. So we're not just removing one tree, we're removing a forest that has lots of other
an entire system
in it, and layers. And we're also undercutting our culture and cutting it off at the knees, so to speak.
You know, speaking of which, in the past several days, there's been all of this debate back and forth. We need to turn this down. Back and forth about who cut down the trees and who burning for coal and all of this back and forth between this group and the next group. And you know what bothers me about this whole thing? I don't hear anybody talking about the problem itself, which is the deforestation itself. You know, I shouldn't say nobody, but you know, you cut it down, and your people was in the back of their face, and I locked this kid. Man, look here, man. While we having this back and forth argument and watching this public spat going on, the fact is, our trees have been under attack for years in this country. Years. This ain't just start with this route. The acting director said 200. Did you say 200 acres have been lost?
We are waiting on the final numbers, but for what we can see, we have quantified a minimum of 200 acres within these areas that have been lost. So these areas,
that's just New Providence, or is that just one area of New Providence?
And that's just one area of New Providence. So these areas have a total of 4,000 acres of crown land that is the well fields that was reserved for the well fields formerly used by water and sewage. So the pine forest is estimated around 4,000 acres or so. And so of this, in this area, in the Carmichael Road area, we call it Carmichael Road South, that area, we could see that there's been at least 200 acres deforested from last year to now. So when I say last year, July is when we started the time series to now. So, but we're waiting on confirmation from Department of Lands and Surveys to confirm the true acreage that was impacted. So, but from our estimations, we confirm certainly 200 acres have been impacted. We assume it's more because that estimate was taken in March. Now we're in June. So
and the burning continues.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out that the BNT does have a formal statement, which is written out on our website. So anyone who wants to see what the Bahamas National Trust formal statement is, they can go and look that up on bnt.bs. But the Bahamas National Trust condemns the recent actions that led to all this deforestation. And we are definitely supporting our partners in the Department of Forestry and the Ministry of the Environment and Natural Resources to not only stop what's going on, but also to identify the people or groups that are responsible. And you kind of touched on it, that lots of people are accusing this group or the next group of cutting down the trees or making the coal or whatever. But this is a time where we as Bahamians need to realize that whoever's doing it, it's going to be everyone's problem. Exactly. So if you live next to a forest that's being cut down, or you see bulldozers in an area and there's no permit sign posted, take an image, share that with your local government representative, send it to the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. They now have in place the standards that they have to take action on these reports that you send in, and they have to maintain those records so that you can follow up and say, hey, I sent this email on this date, this is my name, this is where it happened, and I want to know what was the follow-up. And it's really powerful that we as a country are moving towards that level, but there's so much more that we can do. And just as Bahamians, I think the first thing that we need to do is really to educate ourselves, know what the laws are, know which trees are protected. There's a new suite of trees that are protected by law, and the Caribbean pine is one of them. And yes, you can cut down a pine tree with the proper permits, but if all of this deforestation is happening, it's unregulated or illegal, that needs to be halted.
So I have a commenter on Facebook says, try to get it to come up here. It says, where was this group for the many years the forest was being cleared?
So, yeah.
I can let you respond before I say anything. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, the forestry unit officially came into being in 2011. In 2010, the Forestry Act of 2010, which became gazetted and enacted in 2011, formed the forestry unit, gave us legislation to protect trees, and part of that we attempted to have areas declared as a national forest estate. So areas that are crown lands that would be conserved for future use in terms of forestry activities, so either small scale timber production or water conservation or even harvesting of non-timber forest products. So non-timber forest products is simply a way of saying everything else but lumber. So the straw that we harvest, the medicinal plants, all of those things. So we only came into being then, and even then we only had a staff of 2 persons. Only recently, within the last 5 years, did we acquire additional staff to have officers and train them. So it has been a long road, especially in terms of, being here, protecting our forests. We've had to work with other partners. So BNT has been one of our largest supporters in terms of advocating for the fact that forestry is needed. You need to conserve not just pine forest, but also your mangroves and also your coppice. Each ecosystem has its own benefits. And so we've been here, and I think because it has not been an active or a sexy topic, I think we just, or not just deemed a priority, maybe that's what it is, because it's the assumption we will always have land, we will always have trees, we'll always have bush, the bush will always be there. And I think what we are seeing now is the effects of the death by 1,000 paper cuts, or the small foxes that destroy the vine. Mm-hmm. Meaning it's the small actions, little by little, that then come together and culminate. And then you're like, wow, where did this all come from? Exactly. Well, it's been happening over years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm always amused when Bahamians say, where were you? Or where were you when this was happening? Right now, we have hundreds of Bahamian scientists and educated people. And I'm talking, when I say scientists, I'm talking about students that are still in high school up to people who are in administration, in government agencies, NGOs, and they're working, but there is so much work to be done. Our archipelago with 700 islands, this is spread out throughout the country. This deforestation is not just happening here in New Providence. It's not just these acres. And I appreciate the texter for pointing out that, this has been happening for years, but we have not dedicated, I feel, enough effort into strengthening our NGOs to be able to conduct the research that we need in the habitats that we need the research done in. We haven't really focused on environmental educations in our schools, even our primary and high schools, so that when a student graduates from high school, they should know that the pine forest is valuable. And they should know that there are laws surrounding the destruction of the physical landscape of the Bahamas. But we don't discuss that in schools. We don't pay enough attention to our native habitats, our native environment, and the value that native environment has.
I want to read another Facebook comment. And this one says, New Providence is an example of what we cannot allow to happen to no other island. Well, newsflash. Reports are this is happening in other islands as well. And, I don't know why it is that this has been allowed to happen for so many years. Danielle, you said it wasn't sexy to talk about it in the past. Now it's been, highlighted. It's in the, everybody's talking about it now. But this has been going on for many years now.
It has.
And there seems to be a lack of will on the part of successive governments to deal with this problem. Mm-hmm. And for the life of me, I do not understand why. I don't know if it has been a lack of knowledge in terms of what the damage was actually doing, I don't know if it is a matter of votes and not wanting to upset any particular group because you need their votes to get back in. I don't know if it's because of money, because, money talks. I don't know what it is. But we have to get to the point where we realize if we don't deal with this problem, all of us could be boat people looking for some place to live.
That is it.
All of us.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yes. I just had to chime in and say that is it. I mean, it was just a few months ago we were watching in horror at the Mexican and Texas border where you had immigrants, like even Haitians, trying to get in, and you could see the patrols stopping them, right? Or you could see the images now of Ukraine where you have people who are refugees trying to flee their country with just what they could carry and not being let in. Climate refugees, that's a very real term, and it is a reality. We are an extremely vulnerable country. And the fact that 80% of our country is at or within the expected sea level rise rate, that is a number that we have to take seriously. And if we are doing our best to mitigate or adapt, that costs money, but besides that, we don't need to tear down our environment and then try to replace it with something man-made if we have an already existing natural base solution for protecting our home and our islands from potential storms and those effects. So even this concept of having a green belt, our green belt, meaning that you have a barrier of trees and that helps break the wind that goes across your area so that the damages are minimized because you have this area of green belt. For example, that was what this area was for the western part of New Providence. The fact that even that has been minimized and reduced, you would find, and will be a study that we're going to be looking at, what are the after effects of this loss for the residents in this area? Because things that would not have been their issue, meaning looking at air quality, for example, looking at water quality, and now looking at flooding, these are things that you never considered to map in these areas. Now we have to, because of the effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that commenter's note about let's not let this happen to no other island is already happened on other islands. And one of the problems that we have is we are very New Providence and Nassau centric. And so this happening here in New Providence or Nassau, yes, it's going to be on social media. You'll see the videos on Facebook and WhatsApp going around, and we're becoming more connected, but we still have to think, when we have our elections, less than 50% of people even vote for their representative. So how many of them do you think are going to their representative and saying, hey, we need to stop cutting down these trees? When we talk about which people are going to be impacted by deforestation or cutting down of the mangroves or irresponsible development, we have historically allowed big developers to come in and clear cut huge areas of forests. We've allowed them to remove the mangroves along coastlines so that the people that live near there, when those storms and major events come, the developers, they don't even live on that property, and they've already made back the money that they put into that building. But when they leave, when that is destroyed, the people, like I live in the historic community of Adelaide, and during the COVID pandemic, the people were still fishing and catching crabs out of the mangroves. That is what we need to know that we have when we have these major economic impacts. But when you remove those forests, it takes 50, 60 to 100 years for those things to grow back. Mangroves take even longer. So what are we really thinking about when we're trying to develop our land? Is it really development, or is it just destruction?
Good question. We have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to examine a little closer why this is a tragedy, why I decided to call the show today The Tragedy of Deforestation. And again, this isn't just happening in the Bahamas. This is a global problem. And you're going to see to which degree after this. Stay with us. You're watching GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guest today, Danielle Hanek from the Forestry Unit, and Dr. I don't want to mess up your name, Dr. Davis.
Dr. Davis is fine.
From the
and you can call me Dr. Lino.
Dr. Lino, okay, that's much easier. From the Bahamas National Trust. We're talking today the tragedy of deforestation, and there's a reason why I call this show the tragedy of deforestation. You know, when it comes to climate change, Many scientists and experts believe that forests are the way out. However, as opposed to doing what we need to do to protect them, finding ways to develop sustainably, we as humans are known to be are keen on destroying the forest, not understanding the impact that such destruction is having worldwide.
The main driver of climate change is greenhouse gas emissions. Forests are one of our ways out. They are like the lungs of the planet. They are big climate regulators at a global scale.
July 23rd, 1972.
My work has always been about monitoring the land surface and forest.
Thrusting outward into space, we gain new perspective on ourselves.
Since 1972 till now, Landsat has been tracking and taking pictures of the Earth's surface.
Circling the Earth, it offers an ideal means to monitor change.
I mean, it's hard to imagine how we used to do this, but for the first 20 years of the mission, people were tracking the land surface on essentially hard copy photos and drawing on them. And in 2008, the US government says it's open free of charge and accessible over the internet. Millions of images automatically. It's just this huge leap in capability. It was only then where we saw the whole planet. And when you see the whole, it was a bit of a revelation. And yeah, the alarm bells go off. These warm orangey tones, that's forest disturbance. That means forest was removed. We didn't know that was going on. Colombia, Peru, Paraguay, Bolivia, we can go anywhere and see actual forests be cleared. It usually starts with logging. Rainforests are cleared and burned. They then replace it with soybeans, rubber, pasture for cattle. But one of the big drivers is palm oil. Palm oil is like a magical fruit. We all have palm oil in our houses right now.
It's found in almost every good you can think about. It's in soaps, it's in shampoo, it's in chocolate, it's in bread, it's even in crisps. What we're doing accidentally and inadvertently is actually causing deforestation in other countries because our demand for this product.
That means the natural system is not working. Habitats are disappearing. But also when these high carbon stock forests that are centuries old are cleared and burned, CO2 is added to the atmosphere. Those emissions go up and warm the planet. When you look at our maps, our results are showing that it's accelerating. It almost looks like a contagion. You know, it looks like a disease across the planet. I mean, the ever-increasing pattern. If we continue this level of deforestation, we'll take it all. Boom, there goes the forest. And our ability to mitigate climate change and turn the story around becomes really vanishingly small.
Trees are now being cut down and burnt at such a rate that nearly a third of carbon dioxide emissions are caused by deforestation.
It sucks. I'm a pretty lighthearted, optimistic guy, but just looking at these data, you just looking at the stories, it's like, you know, I'd like to see some evidence of really strong kind of unified political response that was more than an aspiration on a kind of piece of paper, right? That would be cool.
I just thought that was such a powerful piece, and the point that he made at the very end is sobering, even for us here in the Bahamas. Enough with the lip service. We need some actual teeth. I don't understand how you can say to me, and maybe y'all can help me to understand it better, seeing that you are in the positions that you are in, that this has been going on for many years in our country, but we have not been able to figure out who's doing this. We really don't have any evidence of who's doing. We cannot be serious. Now, y'all break this down and help me understand it, please. Y'all are the professionals. Y'all work. Help me make this make sense. Please explain that to me if you can. I know you're not politicians, and I'm not asking you to carry water for them. But in the positions that you sit, help me to understand why we are only paying lip service to this problem while our future is going up in smoke. Anybody, help me, please.
Well, as with everything, nothing is as simple as it seems. It is simple, yet complex at the same time. I would say, just as you said, we need teeth. Basically, we need enforcement. We need to enforce our laws. We have the laws on the books. We just need to enforce them. And we need the resources to enforce them as well. To do that, the Bahamas Wildlife Enforcement Network, this is something that has been in the works for many, many years, but is actually coming to fruition where it'll be our agency, so the Bahamas National Trust, the Forestry Agency, the Department of Marine Resources. At each agency that is responsible for monitoring our natural resources, meaning our wildlife, our flora, and our fauna, everything has value. And so even Department of Environmental Planning and Protection will have officers seconded to this enforcement unit that will then actively enforce our laws. So for example, if someone is illegally exporting our timber, for example, the felled logs that are from the Carmichael area, the forests that were cleared, we just have felled logs that are on the ground, meaning pushed down trees. So those trees still have a value. They are salvageable. And those are being exported raw like that, meaning unprocessed, out of the country. And this should be illegal. It is illegal. You should have a permit and it should be enforced. But because it's not deemed as, if that was gold, for example, or if that was conch or fish, something that is easier to be like, okay, you need a permit for that. It would be easier to regulate, or a concern or an alarm would cause, not just with us, but with everybody who's there. So you'd be like, you're here and where's your paperwork for this? So just like how, for example, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, they are enforcement officers for wildlife. So they are just as equipped and trained with resources, just as a police officer would, just as an army or someone from the Defense Force, for example, would be. But they enforce wildlife infractions. And that is what we need. And so that is actually what is in the process now, because we recognize that without enforcement, without consequences, no one is taking what we're saying about permits or the fact that these resources are valuable seriously. They're just like, oh, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. We could do with what we want. No. Even in islands where we thought that you have lots of trees, for example, even in Andros, yes, you have trees everywhere. It's our most forested island, yes, but that does not give you right and sanction just to clear acres and acres at a time. We do not have that luxury anymore. And I think it's a change that we as a nation have to modify and change our mindset, how we interact with our resources now. Before you'd be like, oh, you can harvest as many conchs as you want or as many groupers as you want, regardless of, oh, you don't have to pay attention to the season. But no, we do. The numbers are showing that we do. And if we want these resources to be not just here for us, but our future generations, for them to experience these resources, then we have to conserve them now.
You know, in the United States, as an example, they have an entire body of people whose job it is to manage their national forests and parks, etc.
Yes.
And they actually have empowered people to be able to make arrests, etc. And someone goes in and breaks the law as it relates to harming that environment. We got plenty of people out there looking for jobs. Do we need to now train a group of people who can now guard these forests and systems, protect them, make sure that nobody is sneaking in and, you know, under the dark of night, putting down everything and then claiming innocence when the daylight comes.
Yes.
Plenty of people looking for work.
That's all very important. Right now, we do have those abilities in law, so within certain areas. So if it's in the Forestry Reserve, you have certain government agents who have that responsibility. If it's inside the national park system, Bahamas National Trust wardens have those powers. If you're inside a marine reserve,
wardens for the oceans, the waters. But do we have such wardens for on land to protect our?
Yes, so we have several national parks. So on New Providence, we have the retreat gardens, which no one's really going to go harvesting in there, but we have the primeval forest, which has amazing old corpus inside there. You have the Bonefish Ponds National Park, where we regularly have to deal with people dredging and creating pollution near that park, or maybe going into the mangroves or taking the fish out of the park.
Yeah.
And those are things that the Bahamas National Trust has purview over. But at the same time, everything is social, economic, and environmental. Socially, although we have these laws and the people who are positioned to enforce those laws have that authority, in the Bahamas, we also have the situation where that person who is harvesting in the park, you know that everyone wasn't working, so they need to catch some fish. And sometimes you feel like you don't want to be that person that's going to stop them. But we need education to show them that, you know, you can go right outside the park, and because we protect inside the park, all those big fish are going to send more babies outside the park. So leave the park alone and allow the fish to recover. With the forestry, you have a lot of people who they're only seeing this bag of coal that they could sell next week. They're not recognizing that this pine forest is cleaning the air so that they don't have those respiratory issues. It's cleaning the water so that when they go to their well, they're not pulling up polluted water. All of that water that you see sitting on the road, that's washing all the car dust, all the oil, all the soot that comes out of the back of the jitneys. All of that was sitting on the road before that rain. And that just washes into the groundwater table. And if you don't have the roots of those trees to clean that before it gets down there, that's what you're going to be pulling out of your fresh water, or your quote unquote fresh water inside your well. And people need to start thinking about this. And then the economics do come into it. And we regularly hear people saying, oh, we need more jobs, or you could employ someone to enforce this. But it's not just about catching the criminal who's deforesting the crown land. It's not just about making sure that they have their permits or don't have their permits. We do need to work with legislature and the judiciary so that they are also informed. Because sometimes I speak with lawyers who are very well informed about the environment, and they're even helping us in this battle. But then you have other lawyers who have no idea and don't understand the value of the marine environment or the plants and tree species. And so we have to do a lot more for education at multiple levels, and then also making sure that, yes, these legislations have teeth But those teeth are not just in the legislation. They have to go through enforcement, and then the judiciary has to actually convict and make sure that these people pay the penalties that they have. But as long as you can make your $25 off of this bag of coal and nobody's gonna say boo to you, that's what people are gonna do.
This is I must admit, this is kind of depressing. This is depressing. Because what I'm hearing is that we actually have laws in place that can deal with this, but like everything else in the Bahamas, we are reactionary. So as opposed to dealing with the problem years ago when it first started, oh, that's just a couple of people burning down a little bit of trees. Oh, let them people go sell their coal. Everybody got to eat. Everybody got to live. Now, years later, potentially, for sure, hundreds of acres, potentially thousands of acres we have lost in this country. And people are still trying to justify we should just let them, continue.
But this is the thing, it's a national resource.
Are we in Wonderland? I looking for Alice in the Mad Hatter any second now. Because we can't be living, this can't be a real place. Go ahead, Danielle. I'm sorry.
No, I follow your sentiments, and that's it. We, you hear the verbiage of saying, "Oh, it's for everybody." Yes, that's exactly it. It is for everybody. It is for everyone to benefit from the services that it's rendering. Just because you can't tangibly touch it, you cherish good air, don't you? Like, you want air to breathe, and you want good water quality. You want potable water to drink. You don't want to get sick by the water that you're drinking. And these are functions or services that we benefit from our environment. And so I laughed when Dr. Davis was just like, "Oh, you've had conversations with educated persons, and they're just like, they just don't get it. Trees are trees. You just cut it down." And it's just like, I have a case. We had a case, for example, if someone wanted to cut down a silk cotton tree in the back of their yard, they were complaining that the roots were going in its foundation of their house and everything. And I countered. I said, "Well, did you factor in the building of your house foundation based on its roots? Why did you build it so close?" But anyway, they're like, "Oh, we just want to cut it down." I said, "No problem. We will do it down." And their consolation is that every tree you remove, you have to plant 3 trees to replace it. And the concept is, out of those 3 trees, at least one of them will survive and make it to a mature age within 5 to 10 years. And so that is the methodology we use. And so I remember seeing the person maybe a year later, and they were complaining about how high their electricity bill was because now they have all this sun, and they have to keep their AC going, and because their house is now too hot.
They didn't think about that when they cut down the shade.
Right.
No. So I said, "Oh, you thought that was a worthless tree, right?" Mm-hmm. But now you can actually tangibly see, no, it affected you where it mattered, in your electricity bill. And you can see the fact that what you were paying, $80, $100, you're now paying $300 or $400, depending on how much AC you're running, because you never had to use so much AC before.
Right.
And this is one of those issues that we call it the tragedy of the commons. So commons, that's any resource that's available to everyone. So everyone can use it, but no one is really vested in the policing of it or the regulation of it. No one is being paid to take care of it specifically or to manage it. And that's how people perceive Crown land, but Crown land is actually land that belongs to the Crown, and it can be granted to you, or you can be allowed to use it, but it's still not actually a property that anyone can just go in and clear down, or anyone can just lay claim to without going through the proper process. Mm-hmm. And this prevents people who have infinite or much higher resources from just going and destroying all of this land that belongs in truth to the entire Bahamian population. Mm-hmm. So like Danny, Director Hanek said, these individuals we want everyone to get use of the land, but we don't want to impact it negatively through that use. And any way that you use it shouldn't impact anyone else's benefit from it, like fresh air or the cleaning the water or our ability to go in and see wildlife and birds and stuff like that. But how do we make this balance? I think that's the question that we have to get to today.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to do that on the other side of the break. But I like the way that last clip that we played began. The trees, the forests, etc., are the lungs of the earth. So if we compare that to the human body, we can't see our lungs. We know they're there, but I can't see my lungs. And some people, for years, in spite of warnings, keep smoking cigarettes because I feel like smoking a cigarette, and that's what I can do. And no regard for their lungs. And then years later, when they come down with cancer, now they're calling you to try help raise money for them to go get lung replacement surgery or whatever, when all they had to do was stop smoking cigarettes. So just imagine the lungs of the earth are these forests. And if we keep destroying them, eventually we're going to come down with a cancer. And then who in the world, I dare say we already have it. And then who in the world are you going to blame because you couldn't see beyond your nose, the tip of your nose? You couldn't see the bigger picture. Yeah. That is the problem that we are facing. And again, not just here in the Bahamas, but obviously this is a global problem. Now, on the other side of the break, we're going to look at possible solutions. Because I get it. You have to have development. But my God, there is such a thing as sustainable development. We're going to talk about what that could look like on the other side of the break. There are alternatives, people. We don't have to be doing this. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed. harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with Dr. Ancilleno Davis and Danielle Hanek. Dr. Davis from BNT, Bahamas National Trust, and Danielle from the Forestry Unit. And we would love to hear from you, our listening and viewing audience. Our telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272. One more time, 326-0272, and the WhatsApp line to send us a message, 824-9952, 824-9952. Now, I did say that I wanted us to talk about possible solutions. I'm about to play a clip, and this clip is all about something called agroforestry. And it talks about the uses of agroforestry systems and how agroforestry contributes to our fight against climate change. It is being done successfully in other nations around the world. And the video details how to apply agroforestry in agriculture systems and its best practices. And in particular, it talks about Nestle, the company Nestle's commitment to maintaining agroforestry and further explain how to develop good practices in agroforestry systems and supporting landscape management approaches. And this is perhaps something that we should consider as we look to the way forward. Check this out.
Agroforestry, or agriculture with trees, is an old land use concept. As a more sustainable production system, agroforestry is a form of intercropping that combines agricultural, pastoral, and forestry elements in one area. The forestry elements can be different types of woody perennials, such as trees and shrubs, interactions between trees and crops, or livestock are important at different scales, in fields, on farms, and at landscape level. Trees can be arranged in rows, in grids, as contours, or dispersed randomly. We broadly distinguish agri-silvicultural systems that combine trees with crops, and silvopastoral systems that combine trees with livestock. If all three elements, trees, crops, and animals, are combined, we call it an agro-silvopastoral system. Benefits and drawbacks of agroforestry are as diverse as its systems. You can imagine that complex agroforestry systems are difficult to establish. They require much knowledge, skills, and manual labor throughout the year. Depending on the type of trees and agricultural elements and their spatial and temporal arrangement, competition for light, nutrients, and water can become excessive and cause yield reductions of individual components. Some plants also do not grow well together, also known as bad neighbors or allelopathy. Payback of investment can sometimes be long. But the benefits of multifunctional agroforestry systems can exceed simplified or monocropping systems with appropriate planning and spatial arrangements. These systems provide biodiversity and carbon sequestration, enhanced resilience, and sustained production. They can support higher cumulative land productivity and, if arranged well, the different root systems of perennials and crops or grasses can use nutrients and water in the soil more efficiently. Trees can improve microclimate, reduce water and wind erosion, and improve soil fertility by trapping nutrients, building soil organic matter, and stimulating soil life. Furthermore, leguminous trees fix nitrogen that can be used by crops, lowering fertilizer needs. Pesticides can also be reduced as intercropping generally lowers the incidence of pests and diseases. In silvopastures, trees reduce heat stress for livestock, increase their well-being and productivity, and provide fodder in times of scarcity. You see, establishing agroforestry requires careful planning and design. At the early stage, structured agroforestry requires more labor, thought, and money, but often provides a better cost-benefits ratio in the long term. If managed well, agroforestry systems are productive for a long time and provide farmers with multiple services and diverse revenues throughout the year. They result in a highly resilient land use strategy which can withstand extreme weather events and climate change and reduce risks for farmers in case of crop failure.
As I watched that clip, I thought of not the movie itself, but the name of the movie that was popular back in the day, Back to the Future. Because I dare say that the model that was just described in that clip is perhaps what it used to be like in the Garden of Eden, where everything is working in harmony. You've got your trees, you've got your animals, you've got, the herbs, the herbal producing plants, and everything working in harmony, as opposed to just barreling everything down just so that a couple of animals can graze, or so that you can produce palm oil, or so that you can produce soy, etc., which is not sustainable. What are your thoughts on that? And we're also going to look at sustainable development as it relates to tourism as well, because obviously tourism is our big thing. But when it comes to agriculture, what are your thoughts of that model?
Agroforestry. We've been saying this for a while, and the challenge is just adaptation and changing of mindset. It's cheaper, like the video said, it's cheaper to just clear cut or slash and burn instead of selectively thinning, planning out which species will be complementary to the purpose of what you're trying to do. And so that is the challenge. It's a change in mindset. But agroforestry, this is something that we've been advocating, and I believe that now maybe persons will be more attuned to it because of the fact that we have a change in laws. So even the fact of saying when you're building your home, and you should not be clear cutting your lot, you should be maintaining a buffer. You should only be clearing out where the footprint of your home will be, technically, if persons are following their permit. So this is a change in adapting how we develop our environment. And so agroforestry, totally here for it. This is exactly what should be done. You should be maintaining the biotic corridors, not just clearing down all of the trees, all of the vegetation or the bush that you think is useless. It is actually helping conserve your soil and providing nutrients for your soil that you need. So it all comes, it's a holistic approach. And I think that is where we are shifting from, where we're just looking at the tip of our nose, or we're just looking at what the goal is. But instead, we have to now look at everything as a whole, because that's how it should be. Life is not just one-sided. It is very multifaceted and very dynamic. So agroforestry is ideal. So even like breadfruits, even breadfruit trees, almond trees, then you could have your papaya, no, not really papaya trees, but let's say ganap or, juju, your cocoa plums, all of those,
Yes.
having the multi-layers in the system versus just saying a monoculture, just saying, okay, we're going to have only citrus crops. What would have happened if we had actually incorporated different crops? So you have the biodiversity, so you actually make your system stronger. I think that is what we need to promote. And as everyone is now into backyard gardening, and the fact that every household should have at least 10 fruit trees in their yard. I remember growing up where you had to go out and get the sour, go out get the guava, go out get the mangoes. Like that is being lost. Because we cleared it down to say that, we're going to have nice landscape yards, but we can't feed ourselves. And I think that is what we need to promote. The fact that trees are useful, but you could also eat from them. And agroforestry is the solution for that.
We have a call on the line. Just hold that thought for me, Dr. Davis. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hey, good day, Lady Malcolm. How are you and your guest doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
But the main thing of what we're talking about, excellent subject today, though, is education. Let me tell you why. I'll tell you something right quick. I bought a piece of property on the Fort Hill, and it had several trees on it. The largest tree was the breadfruit tree, which towered over everything. And when I came up here to do it, there was this little 10-foot pear tree under the breadfruit tree. So I tell my friend, I said, man, I can cut that down. He said, no, don't cut that down. I said, because it don't bear. So we left it for a couple of months, came back. The pear tree turned a 90-degree angle to the north. I said, you see why I can cut this tree down? This stupid tree turning sideways and it don't bring no pear. So again, we left the pear tree for a couple of months, came back, and I was fascinated. The pear tree had straightened up and started to grow out of the branches of the breadfruit tree to catch the sunlight. And Ms. Malcolm, do you know that tree brought the best pears after that? So I say all of that to say this, those trees are really, really alive and ancient beings. That is what trees are. I had no respect for trees after that. I scared to pull up grass now. Those things have a mind of their. Could you imagine a tree doing that, Ms. Malcolm?
Yeah.
It went from under the breadfruit tree to find the sunlight.
It's going to look for the sun, of course.
It's looking for the sunlight.
Yeah. Not surprising.
So, none of y'all been to the far Southeast Islands. I don't want to really call names, but you know what I mean. Way down to the Southeast Islands, not Inagua, they're past that. None of y'all been there recently.
I have not.
Well,
not recently.
Well, I've been there. I'm going to tell you something, you need to go. And we drove for miles on some of the mountainside, and guess what? There is nothing. Nothing. When it rains, the mudslides come and just mess up everything. Ain't only that. And Jack Russo said he was swimming for 2 hours and he didn't find a first fish yet. So I guess people when in check Rome, they do as a Roman soup. They come from Rome and they bring their waste over here. And if we don't watch out, they're going to do the exact same thing to our country. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling. Prior to the caller, Dr. Davis, you had started to say something?
Yeah, one of the things about this this movement towards agroforestry and silviculture, a lot of us still don't understand that is still taking a plant from a different place and trying to encourage it to grow here in the Bahamas. And yes, we have things like dilly and mango, soursop, canap, guava that you see commonly in the Bahamas, and they are relatively acclimated to our environment, and we can grow them well here. But we have trees and plants that naturally occur that are equally valuable and maybe even more valuable when we start thinking about the global market and talk about, mastic plum or darling plum, paradise trees, ganap, and like all of these other trees that naturally occur in our forest, but we haven't taken the opportunity to develop them, to investigate their medicinal properties, to promote them on the global market. And when you get to that point, then you could just not mow your yard and money will just grow up in your yard by itself. Instead of us having to think about inside the last clip where they said it may cost more money at the beginning to invest in silviculture or agroforestry, because you have to plan this out and develop how are you going to make this system work inside your natural environment. What we call bush, when you put bees inside those habitats, those native habitats, and they have a wide variety of different plants to feed on and to eat from, and you could sell on the global market sea grape honey or cocoa plum honey or something like that. That's something that no one has seen yet. So why aren't we doing that? And why aren't we promoting the boutique systems that we have that no one else can do? We have a dragon fruit that grows in Long Island. Why don't we see that inside the markets, right? And these things, you know how expensive a dragon fruit is? It's like $8 for one, right?
They're expensive. They're very expensive.
And we have it growing wild in the bush. So if we bring that into cultivation, and with the new laws that we have with our biological resource protection, we can do those studies now and say, this is our Bahamian wild dragon apple. So if we catch it inside your market, it better be some money coming back to the Bahamas, right? And that's what we need our forestry department and our Department of Environmental Planning and Protection to help us with. But as Bahamians, we need to go out, and I have this book here. This is the natural history of the Bahamas. And I would say in the Bahamas, let this be the book that you get and you purchase for yourselves. Make sure that you know what type of animals and plants we have in our environment for you to take advantage of. And that's available at the Bahamas National Trust if someone wants to get it. Okay. But we need to know. We need to know as individuals before we go and point fingers at the government or the ministries for protecting our environment. We need to know what's of value so that we can go and tell them, hey, stop this person from cutting down our forests, or stop this person from destroying our mangrove wetlands.
You know, it goes back to what the caller was talking about, and that's education, education, education. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So if you don't understand the purpose of the tree, if you don't understand the purpose of the forest, then you burn it down without checking because you just don't understand. This particular person on Facebook says, to protect the forestry, we need to develop it, add trails to them. Trails allow for people to learn, experience, and appreciate its qualities, as well as protect and add its ecosystem. That then sort of provides a map for us to move to the whole question of tourism, or edutourism. I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, y'all understand what I'm trying to say. Where you use something like a nature trail and incorporate it into a tourism product. We do have small scale boutique hotels in some family islands that do something similar. At the top of my head, I think of Tiamo, where every residence there is surrounded by the natural habitat. So you feel like you're staying in one of their cottages, and you're surrounded by this nature, and you just feel, I mean, it's such a great feeling. Do we now need to look at how we develop in terms of tourism to embrace more of this sustainable development where, yes, you can build, but not at the expense of nature, but incorporating it, working together with it, so that you create a new experience for the visitor?
So for that commenter in particular, I want to encourage them to reach out to the Bahamas National Trust or visit us on our website And you can get a family membership at the Bahamas National Trust for $50. That's less than the price of one ticket to go and see the movies these days, right? And you can take your whole family into the parks every time that they're open. And we have 36 national parks around the country that have different types of environments, different species that you can see. Some are marine, some are terrestrial, some are a little bit harder to get to and more of an adventure, and some are super, super accessible, where the trails are well maintained and clear and open. And we have our wardens and docents who can tell you about not only the plants and the animals and the kind of sciencey background, but they're going to tell you about, oh, this tree is used for bush medicine to help alleviate this or that. And it really shows that connection to Bahamian culture. But we need more Bahamians to take advantage of this. I've always been a part of the Bahamas National Trust, and it's always one of my first visits when I come back home after I get my Vitamalt and a hot potty. I'm going to go into a national park, right? Go to the retreat gardens and wander around, just breathe in what I feel is the real Bahamian air, right? Primeval Forest on New Providence is an excellent trail system. You get to go down into the caves. If you're in Abaco, the Abaco National Park has those roads that have been cut because of the deforestation of the past before we even gained independence. And you have on Grand Bahama, you have the Rand Nature Center and the Lucayan National Park. These are amazing locations that any Bahamian on those islands, get your membership and just go and walk around and enjoy your park. Even if you can't identify the species, just being there and feeling that amazing, powerful, the magnificence of the pine trees that are still healthy in South Abaco. And then if you have access to a boat, go and enjoy the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park. No fishing, but go and snorkel with some of the biggest grouper that you will ever see. Some of the biggest lobster that you'll see in the Bahamas. But I think people tend to ignore the access that we have. And some people complain about paying $50 into the Bahamas National Trust or the park system. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the best bang for your buck that you could get in the Bahamas right now.
Okay. Danielle, you wanted to add something?
I love the fact of the idea of wanting more trails. I believe that we need more public spaces that are multi-use. So having, one idea could be of having a nature trail in the area so that you have an area that is managed, so you could demonstrate the different species, and even just highlighting the fact of having a natural space for persons to safely walk through. This is something that I feel that we want. We enjoy walking on the beach. We enjoy the Goodman's Bay area, for example. We want areas where we could exercise in nature and enjoy the beauty. In the Carmelco Road forest areas, there are a few blue holes. And so this is something that I know that has been in the works for a while. And maybe this is an opportunity that we could highlight that and make it accessible to the general public. So we could demonstrate pine forest, coppice, we could demonstrate our medicinal plants for persons in New Providence who may not be, basically otherwise may not even have an opportunity to go in and see, because if you don't have access to it or you feel like you don't understand it, giving that opportunity, I think, is a great chance. And so in the meantime, though, I do support, go visit a national park. I think our rates are actually very affordable compared to other jurisdictions. So, and the fact that we have so much accessible, even on New Providence, you have a few parks, the Bonefish National Park, especially, where you could do kayak tours. They're very fun. So I would encourage, that is an opportunity where we can get and connected back with nature.
Okay, we are going to take a quick commercial break. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about our individual responsibility. What can you do? What can I do to help to resolve this problem? Because It's easy for us to point fingers at some other group. It's easy for us to say the government lousy and they should have done something about this years ago. But what are you doing? And what can you do to help solve this problem? We're going to talk about that and more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS. You're watching Global and listening to Global 99.5 FM. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Listen, y'all, you got to support GPS sponsors because they are the reason why we are on the air. So if you are in need of tints, rims, and tires, like the little girl to say, on the ad for Sunshine Auto, definitely go and check them out. They are on Abundant Life Road. Tell Sunny that you heard about them on GPS, and make sure you go there to get what you need to bling out that ride of yours. And of course, you all know how much I love my Tiki Bikini Hut on Junkanoo Beach, where you can find great food and a family-friendly atmosphere right on the beach, live entertainment, the works. Go and check them out. Let them know that you heard about them on GPS. and support our sponsors because we need them to stay on the air. Now, a lot of you, all of you, I'm sure, have heard of the Sahara Desert. If you've never been there, you've seen it in the movies. We all know about the Sahara Desert. But did you know that thousands of years ago, the Sahara Desert was once a fertile place? It was. They are now finding fossils of whales and other animals that would have lived on land and sea that once was, that is now, the Sahara Desert. So what happened? Well, it seems, according to some scientists, that the Sahara Desert over the thousands of years was hit by one of the most destructive forces on Earth. And I'm not talking about some meteor. I'm talking about mankind and our bad behavior that impacts our environment to our own detriment.
Dear future generations, I think I speak for the rest of us when I say, sorry. Sorry we left you with our mess of a planet. Sorry that we were too caught up in our own doings to do something. Sorry we listened to people who made excuses to do nothing. I hope you forgive us. We just didn't realize how special the earth was. Like a marriage gone wrong, we didn't know what we had until it was gone. For example, I'm guessing you probably know it as the Amazon Desert, right? Well, believe it or not, it was once called the Amazon rainforest, and there were billions of trees there, all of them gorgeous, and... Oh, you don't know much about trees, do you? Well, let me tell you, trees are amazing. I mean, we literally breathe the air they are creating. They clean up our pollution, our carbon. They store and purify water, give us medicine that cures our diseases, food that feeds us, which is why I'm so sorry to tell you that we burn them down. Cut them down with brutal machines, horrific, at a rate of 40 football fields every minute. That's 50% of all the trees in the world gone in the last 100 years. Why? For this. And that wouldn't make me so sad if it weren't so many pictures of leaves on it. You know, when I was a child, I read how the Native Americans had such consideration for the planet that they felt responsible for how they left the land for the next 7 generations. Which brings me great sorrow, because most of us today don't even care about tomorrow. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we put profit above people, greed above need, the rule of gold above the golden rule. I'm sorry we use nature as a credit card with no spending limit, overdrafting animals to extinction, stealing your chance to ever see their uniqueness or become friends with them. Sorry we poison the ocean so much that you can't even swim in them. But most of all, I'm sorry about our mindset, because we had the nerve to call this destruction progress. Hey, Fox News, if you don't think climate change is a threat, I dare you to interview the thousands of homeless people in Bangladesh. See, while you were in your penthouse nestled, their homes were literally washed away beneath their feet due to rising sea levels. And Sarah Palin, you said that you love the smell of fossil fuels. Well, I urge you to talk to the kids of Beijing who are forced to wear pollution masks just to go to school. See, you can ignore this, but the thing about truth is, it can be denied, not avoided. So I'm sorry, future generations. I'm sorry that our footprint became a sinkhole and not a garden. I'm sorry that we paid so much attention to ISIS and very little to how fast the ice is melting in the Arctic. I'm sorry we doomed you, and I'm sorry we couldn't find another planet in time to move to. You know what? Cut the beat. I'm not sorry. This future, I do not accept it. Because an error does not become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We can redirect this. How? Let me suggest that if a farmer sees a tree that is unhealthy, they don't look at the branches to diagnose it, they look at the root. So like that farmer, we must look at the root and not to the branches of government, not to the politicians run by corporations. We are the root, we are the foundation. This generation, it is up to us to take care of this planet. It is our only home. We must globally warm our hearts and change the climate of our souls and realize that we are not apart from nature, we are a part of nature. And to betray nature is to betray us. To save nature is to save us. Because whatever you're fighting for, racism or poverty, feminism, gay rights, or any type of equality, it won't matter in the least. Because if we don't all work together to save the environment, we will be equally extinct. Sorry.
I thought that was such a powerful piece. It's like, wow, this is so deep. And, he's right, because it's easy for us to get, caught up in our tribes. Oh, I'm for the rights of women and children. Oh, I'm for the rights of men. I'm for the rights of the immigrant. I'm for the rights of Bahamians. I'm for the rights of this. I'm for the rights of that. But if we don't stop doing this madness, all of us will become extinct. I thought that was so powerful. And just for the benefit of our radio audience, when he said all because of this, he held up a $1 bill, or it was actually $100 bill. So in other words, we are willing to be stricken by the ostrich syndrome, where we all stick our head in the sand and we pretend we don't see the damage going on. And in a lot of instances, it's because of that dollar, that money. But if we destroy the only home we have, your money ain't a man deadly squat. That's what we need to understand. Because, for some people, their money is their God. That's their God. But when the planet is destroyed, what you gonna buy? Is that a call for the show? No. I thought it was a very powerful piece. What can we as individuals do to try to decrease our own carbon footprint and really help to be a part of the solution and not just complain about the problem? What can we do?
I was laughing to myself earlier when you were talking about the electricity bills going from $100 to $300. And meanwhile, I'm out here with a $25 electricity bill, right? Things like electricity, a lot of us, we take it for granted, because you flip a light switch and you don't hear a generator turn on. You don't pay for the fuel that goes into it or anything like that. It's just magic. And a lot of people think that light bulbs are magic and toilets are magic, but everything that we do as human beings, as Bahamians, impacts the world, or as Bahamians, it impacts the Bahamas. And so when we're wasting electricity, I regularly tell people that turning on that iron, the students in the Bahamas ironing all their clothes at the same time, that's one of our generators. One power plant would be required in the Bahamas for us to power all of those irons at the same time. And so where's our value? You want to go someplace with a piece of cloth squished flat so that people could respect you or think that you're better because this piece of cloth that you have hanging on your body is flat? Is that more important than us having economic stability in the country? Is that more important than us avoiding oil pollution or the use of bunker C fuel oil that contributes to climate change and global warming? Where do we put these values? Us having the lawn, that grass lawn in front of our property that we mow so often that it never produces seeds for the grass quits to eat, that you never see the wildflowers pop up so you don't have butterflies or bees in your yard. The grassy lawn that you can never eat. Are we putting more value on us paying to run a lawnmower over it 2-3 times a month for $500 so that someone could say, oh, your yard looks green and flat? Or do we want to put value on being able to invite our family and our neighbors over, 2-3 times a year? Hey, y'all, it's mango season. I can't handle these mangoes. Y'all come over here and eat as much as y'all want. Take some and share it in the community. Oh, it's almond season. Let's get together and have an almond party. Do you know that you could eat the outside of the almond, and then you could make the nut? You could roast the nut.
We used to go back then. We used to call it almond.
Yeah, and
we
see,
used to go almond in every Sunday afternoon. One of my older cousins. If she had me calling her my older cousin, one of my cousins used to take pile us up in the car, and we would go drive out west on Sundays and pick up the almonds, the dried almonds. She used to crack them open with the cutlass, and we had natural almonds, and then we would eat the green ones, not the green ones, but the ones that didn't quite mature to the point of becoming brown. So I grew up on that. And as you were talking earlier in the show about these different native plums, I remember growing up on hog plum and scarlet plum, and you don't see these things anymore. We have lost so much already. And you were right. If we do the research, we will find that many of these things that we just allowed to disappear are superfruits, super healthy. The Bahamas is one of the sickest nations in the world. And yet we are turning our back on the very things that God has put here to help keep us healthy. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to jump in and say that. So go ahead and finish your point.
Yes, but I'm just saying that we're putting value on the wrong things. And the poet that you just showed, he did point out the money. But I always tell people, money is not a resource. Money just allows us to translate between things, because you want to trade your time for the money, but you don't want the money. You want the food that you can buy.
You want the things that gets you.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we need to take into account. And unfortunately, the Bahamas is not very good at numeracy. But when you sit someone down and you tell them how much time of your day do you have to work to earn this can of corned beef? What if you stick a piece of a scarlet plum tree in the ground now, and 5 years down the line, you're going to be eating scarlet plum, and that's 1 hour of your life that you don't have to work for the grocery store, man. That's 1 hour of your life that you don't have to work for some international fruit distribution company. That's where I want the Bahamas to be, where we see the value in our native environment and what it does for us, and that we're not continuing to promote and contribute to deforestation because we don't value the environment that we have. I want all the Bahamian kids to know, oh, I could eat wild guava out of the bush here, right? Or I can make tea from wild guava.
A wild guava, okay.
Yeah, it looks like a little blueberry type fruit.
Okay.
And a lot of people, you drive past them all day. And people hate driving with me in the car because I'm going to say, that's an invasive species. That's an invasive species. Oh, stop the car. I want to eat this thing out of the bush. But I want more people to be able to participate in that on them Sunday drives to go almond in. Right?
Yeah. You drive around town now, and we have quite a few almond trees here, and the almonds are just rotting on the ground. And you know how much you got to pay for almond in the food store?
And the thing is, they become invasive when we don't eat them. Remember a few years back, everyone was like, oh, noni juice this, noni juice that. Because someone somewhere else in the world was like, man, this noni stink.
Right.
I bet you if I go and tell some Bahamian people about this, they don't know the noni stink, but we could tell them how valuable this fruit is and how much nutrition it has. And let's sell it to them, something that is trash over there, growing all over the place.
I got one tree in the back of my yard, and I ain't gonna lie, the noni dropping on the ground.
What? And people don't know that noni trees, rats love noni, So really? when I'm doing assessments and you look under the ground, rats will carry that noni under the ground to feed their babies. They take it on top of those those cars you have parked up in your yard, and the rats eat the noni and leave the seeds on top of the engine block. And this is what we're doing. We're putting more value on these exotic species and supporting the rats and the raccoons instead of us valuing our native fruit that's already in balance with the environment.
I'm glad you tell me that. I can start picking them up now, because my neighborhood does have a problem with rodents, as much as the island does.
Noni is a superfood, and now you have super rats.
Wow, I did not know that. I learned something new today. Wow.
We're educating the whole Bahamas today.
Yeah, so stop letting them know. I mean, yeah, it smelled bad, but yeah, pick them up. And you can find some use for them, and they are super healthy. Super healthy.
But I want to highlight, growing up, you'd have connects, right? And you wouldn't even need to, you just know someone who had a yard, who had a connect tree. Now you could see that translating into small business, because you could see persons putting in the baggies and selling it for $2, right? And so this is an example. That's an example of agroforestry, where you're taking a product, you're feeding yourself, but you're also able to generate business. Even the coconut, the what is it? I don't even know what to call them. The association that does coconut water, because they seem to all be connected.
The coconut boys.
Yes. So even them, like to say like, and that eventually can spin off to other businesses. For example, the mulching of the coconut husks that are left, that could be put back into farming areas if we were just able to connect them. So these are examples of us.
On the show last week, we showed a clip of, I think in Cambodia, I think, one of those Asian countries, where they're actually using the coconut shell to create coal instead of burning down trees. So
exactly.
Biochar.
Yes, the biochar, right?
Yeah,
so,
they make biochar coal.
Yeah, so actually our pine trees should not be used for coal. The resin in them, yes, makes them very flammable, but they're actually very bad for our health. And then what we are noticing in some of the illegal charcoal areas, when we did a few site assessments, they're mixing species together. So mixing pine with the palm, and who knows, they may also be mixing poison wood in there, or the Brazilito. And we don't know these properties as they mix and form into charcoal. And so even that charcoal itself is not bad. And like I'm becoming new to the biochar term, but the fact is that, okay, you can make these products from them. It could be a byproduct, but the point is the mixing of it, and the fact of, to say, for our health. So charcoal can be done with trees that we want to eradicate, like, for example, the invasive casuarinas. We could take, and that is a great fuel. And there are ways to regulate and to make charcoal cleaner if we wanted to. But right now, it is such a prevalent problem because we just have so much wood on the ground. They're like, oh, they're going to take it and they're just going to, and they're increase. There's just so much felled wood that we need to find another use for it. And so even that, that is something that we're looking at to say, so that we can minimize the charcoal production. And actually it's our goal to put a halt on it for now until we could regulate and get an assessment of what all the damage that has been done. Because ultimately in other countries where you can see where they do charcoal, it leads directly to deforestation, and that's not what we want. But what we do want to promote instead is the fact that of persons planting trees, reducing their carbon footprint, even the way that they develop, just use the portion that you need. There's no need to clear cut your whole property. I'm sure you could find somewhere on your 8,000 acre lot or 6,000 acre lot. You're only building a house that's 1,000 square feet or 2,000 square feet. You can leave your buffer and boundary, and you could weed out, and you could see the benefits of maintaining your environment. And so that those could be ideas as well. But planting a tree in every yard, you should at least have 10 trees: a guava, a soursop, a sour, a breadfruit, hopefully some mango and some lime. Those are key fruits that everyone should have. Date trees, I mean, they're great, but you really need a large yard for them.
Yeah, they go huge. As you're talking, I'm trying to count in my head how many trees I have in my yard, how many different fruit trees I have in my yard. Go ahead, Dr. Davis. You were saying something?
One of your commenters just posted that the cocoa plum is going extinct, and I want Bahamians who are listening now to think about how many fruit they've eaten over the course of their lives, and how many of those they've planted versus how many of those seeds they throw in the garbage. And if you took every child that was born in the Bahamas and throw them in the garbage before they turn 5, before they could reproduce, before they go through college, we wouldn't have any more Bahamians, right? So what do you think about the fruits? This is this throwaway mentality that we have around the world, really. And so the cocoa plums aren't going extinct. I could show you where one nice pink cocoa plum tree is right now. You could go eat a baggie full of them and then go and plant them. And I have a bunch of cocoa plum inside my yard now as well.
I've actually been amassing a bank of seeds, different types of seeds. I've been, just collecting seeds. I got to start planting them now, but I do have a whole bunch of seeds because whether we realize it or not, and maybe because I haven't planted them yet, it's not going to help me much, but we are heading for a famine, y'all, where there's going to be a global food shortage. And it is the societies that have put emphasis on planting and preserving trees that are going to fare better when this all goes down, because we are headed for a global food shortage. And when you think of a country like ours that we import 95% of what we eat, that's a scary thought. So I'm happy to see that there has been this push towards backyard farming, very, very necessary, but we have to take it up to another level. Okay, I'm going to put one more comment and then we're going to wrap this up. So Anne-Marie says, how can further deforestation of the west of New Providence impact rain in the country? Anybody want to tackle that real quick?
So at the forest scale, this deforestation doesn't really impact the rain or the weather systems because we're surrounded by ocean and our islands are very small in comparison to the big ocean that we live in. But the impact that the rain then has when it falls, that is going to be significantly changed. And Director Hanek has already mentioned this issue of the
flooding,
the loss of the trees leading to that flooding. And then when it does flood, it doesn't go away as quickly because the trees don't suck it up. We're losing the soil, and the soil is washing out all over the roads and stuff like that. And then you have these diseases. So Department of Environmental Health Services has to treat more of this mosquito areas, or the wetlands are overflowing. And we have diseases that the Public Hospitals Authority has to deal with when this flooding is now taking your neighbor's septic tank juice into your yard, and you have to walk through that to catch the bus or go anywhere. And that's getting on your fruit trees and stuff like that. So all of this, I see your face, and I know that it's very sobering.
Yeah.
But these are the issues that become community issues because one person with a tractor got $200 to go and clear down that property. And so if you see something, say something. Reach out to Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. Reach out to the Department of Forestry, or your minister, your local minister, or your parliamentary representative, and definitely, the Ministry of Natural Resources. And you can reach out to the Bahamas National Trust, and we'll help to push things as much as we can.
Bottom line is we need to stop selling out our country for a bowl of porridge. Bottom line. We need to stop selling out our country for a bowl of porridge. I'm sorry.
Definitely.
Yeah. And if we had the fruit, if we grow the fruit here, we wouldn't be hungry for the porridge.
We'd make our own breadfruit porridge. That's something we can do also.
Right. Exactly.
All right. I'm going to give each of you, let's see, how much time we got left in the show? 5 minutes left. So I'm going to give each of you, let's say, a minute to give us a minute and a half that tops your final thoughts on this.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Bahamas, for listening in. Forests are important, and we need trees to live. We need trees to eat. Not only that, but just to breathe fresh air and to have good quality water, and also just to protect our environment so that we are safer in the elements. And so, plant a tree. I would encourage anybody, even mango season or pear season, whatever fruit you're eating, I encourage you to keep the seeds and try to plant your own trees and improve our natural network that we have throughout the communities. And then I'd also say, if you are unsure, contact us and make sure that you're not damaging a protected tree. It is a law, and there are offenses, and you don't want to damage your police record by felling a tree.
So go ahead and throw out your contacts for them.
All right. So our contacts, we're right here at the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, 322-4546, or we're on Facebook, Bahamas Forestry, or IG, Bahamas Forestry. So send us a message and contact us, reach us on the government website, or give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions you have about protected trees or what to do or any opportunities. So thank you.
All right. And Dr. Davis?
Thank you. And I definitely start off with educating yourself. So again, if you can pick up a copy of the Natural History of the Bahamas book, and that does support the work of the Bahamas National Trust. But if you are unfamiliar with your natural environment and you want to get out on some of our well-maintained, beautiful park trails, reach out to the Bahamas National Trust at 393-1317, or you can email info@bnt.bs, or you can reach out to the science team at science@bnt.bs. Perhaps you want more information on the natural environment or what you can do, or you want to support our research work. And if you want to get your students engaged, or you want your community group to learn more, reach out to education@bnt.bs. And definitely you can find us on social media, and you can find me. If you can spell my name, I'm the easiest person to find on Facebook or any social media really. But reach out and let's have that discussion about how you can be a better steward of the environment and a better Bahamian citizen.
All right. Sounds good. I want to thank you both so much for being here today and helping to shed some light on this issue. Hopefully our listeners and watchers on Facebook and YouTube got something out of it and now understand better why it is so important that we do a better job of protecting our forests. It's not about being a tree hugger. It's about wanting to be able to continue to breathe. Remember, the forests are the lungs of the earth. If nothing else, you remember that. That'll help us to make better decisions. That's my time.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you both for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's my time. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in to GPS today. Tomorrow is Wellness Wednesday, and we're going to have a great show for you on the square of health, the 4 major points of health. Okay, so that's tomorrow's show, Wellness Wednesday. Don't miss it. You'll get some good information about the 4 main things you need to do to protect your health. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for joining us on GPS, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.